Let's invite cknarayan and Tahir into the conversation. Good morning to both of you. Dr. Narayan, first up, what's the Nifty looking like shaping up for the January contract itself? We have seen it linger with low volumes.
I think, the situation, the thing right now is a little bit mixed. You have local news which are slightly positive. The ordinances have come through and other policy changes, some slight visibility is seen. But on the global side, you have oil kind of starting to soften again. The dollar is still strong and FI inflow is a little weak. So I think we have a little bit of mix. On the local side, on negatives, I think you have the Reserve Bank note which might induce a little bit here and there. And I think if you notice that the rollover, the roll cost was overall much higher at 1.05% for average across the market compared to about 0.6% for the last one or two rolls. So which means positions have been transferred at a much higher cost. So they are most likely to be long. So there is a stock overhang on the market which is at a higher cost. Given all this and no big news break likely, I think the Nifty might remain a little range bound. The upward bias on a broader sense exists, but I think in the shorter term, the Nifty is going to suffer from localized volatility that might have a little downside bias.
Okay. So, since there is some volatility that you're expecting, Dr. Narayan, what about individual stocks? Are there any concrete trades on any Nifty names that you can recommend for the morning?
Well, I think, it has to be spread out across the set of stocks, which might include large cap as well as small cap. Mainly because when you have volatility and the range is not really expected to be very large, the stocks move in, small bursts, and largely those moves are favored by news elements. And so I think you'll have to really look at the news. Right now, the ones with a little bit momentum mixed up with a little bit of news would be something like, let's say, Motherson Sumi, Petronet LNG, JSW Energy, JSW Energy, TVS Motor. These are some of the stocks that I would look at on the long side. I think if you want to look at the short side, because I think you need to look at both the sides, long as well as short, because volatile markets demand that you have a two-way approach. On the short side, I would think that the rally in metal stocks has been largely in expectation of the ordinance, but I think the ordinance has been a little short of what people thought it was. So maybe you should see some bit of softening again in metal stocks by way of those who are holding it earlier. They might choose to bail out a bit. I think you might see a little bit of softening in metals.
And
so
finally,
I would mix it up a little.
Yeah, finally on Bank Nifty, we actually saw it seriously underperform yesterday. Are there shorting candidates in individual banks or the index?
No, Bank Nifty is really what has been holding bank sector as a whole, has been what is holding up the market and enabling the Nifty to stay aloft. So I wouldn't rush into shorts in the banks. Yes, this Reserve Bank report, if it sort of creates some waves, we might see profit taking emerge, and then one-day player, intraday players, 1-2 day players can look for shorts. I think PSU banks have been favored quite an extent in terms of buying, so they might be the ones which might witness some amount of selling because, the balance sheets of PSU banks are the ones which are most stressed. So out of that and overextension, like I said, positions carried forward at higher rates, these might all come together at that point of time. What you need is a trigger. If the trigger comes, then banks are a short. Otherwise, I really wouldn't short banks.
All right, Dr. Narayan, we'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for giving us your view.